Today's tricky topic in 2 minutes has to do with how do you know how high something's going to go in the air when you throw it up in the air with a certain speed. So all you really have to know for this is a couple basic things. One is what the acceleration of gravity is wherever you are, and we're going to assume it's 10 meters per second squared downward, which is normal for on Earth here. And then you need to know how fast that you launched it up in the air. And of course, the basic assumption behind all these problems as we do them in beginning physics is that there's no air resistance effects. It doesn't matter, there's no effect of air drag or anything in these problems. So I've got a bottle of bug spray here, and if I throw it up in the air, right, it goes up to a certain height, and that's dictated by what speed it left my hands with, right? Okay, so how do we do these kind of problems? Well, all you need to know is what the speed is, and if it's an easy multiple of 10 meters per second upward, it's really easy to do. Like for instance, if I toss it up in the air at 10 meters per second, right, it's going to take 1 second for it to get to the top up here. 1 second. And why is that? Well, because what gravity does is it takes away 10 meters per second every second of what its speed was when it left. That's what the acceleration of gravity does. So it takes away speed on the way up, adds speed on the way down. So when I throw the bottle up at 10 meters per second, it takes 1 second to get to the top, okay? So if it started at the bottom at a speed of 10 meters per second, and it ended at a speed of 0 meters per second up at the top, 10 and 0 makes an average speed in that interval of 5 meters per second. And all you have to know for a problem like this is if you know what the average speed is over that interval, it's just like if I was walking down the street at 5 meters per second. Well, that would be running in my case, right? 5 meters per second. And if I did that for 1 second, how far would I go, right? 5 meters. It's the same thing here. So the idea is that if I toss this thing up in the air at 10 meters per second, it's going to go up at that speed initially, then it's going to slow down, reach 0 up here at its peak, right? And from 10 meters a second to 0 meters per second up here at the top, that means it's going to have an average speed of 5 meters per second, and it's going to do that in 1 second, which means if I throw something up in the air at 10 meters per second, it goes 5 meters high, okay? Now when it's a little bit more sophisticated, let's do 30 meters per second. Well, let's see if you got the trend here. If I throw the bottle up at 30 meters per second, what's its speed going to be at the top? Still 0. What's the speed at the bottom? 30. It's the average speed is 15. It took 3 seconds to get to the top. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, because that's how much time it took gravity to take away all of its speed. So 3 seconds times an average speed of 15 means that it would go 45 meters high until it stopped, okay? So that's how you figure out how high an object goes when you throw it up in the air, okay? Straight up in the air.